The older a person is, the more he wants to live. And it's bad that by old age a person has only a weak body, filled with diseases and fear for life, and barely moving around the room. In youth, a person feels healthy, strong and rarely thinks about old age. It seems to him that he will always be young, but in fact this is only an illusion. In the incessant run through life, it seems to a young person that old age is what happens to others. In our youth, we perceive older people as if they were already born grey-haired, hunched and wrinkled, and they certainly did not imagine themselves in their place. But over the years, you notice the destructive effects of aging in others, and the question pops into my head by itself: what will happen to me when I reach old age? The question is rather philosophical. In moments of fatigue, to cheer ourselves up, we talk, let's rest in the next world. In the next world, not in retirement, as if you will not have this stage of life. Therefore, consciously, even at the age of 40, people do not do banal things to prepare for old age. They do not save money, do not take care of their health, do not seek to start a family. However, in every person, an unconscious age-related change in thinking still occurs. He no longer thinks about today, as he did 10 years ago. Involuntarily he looks into the future, trying to help people, believing that they will help him someday. They do not do meanness, knowing that it will come back to them. We must hurry to become a man today, knowing that in old age it will be too late. The main thing is to educate your personality in advance. Old age is only one of the frontiers of growing up. Youth is an amazing time when an immature mind and soul are fragrant with youth and energy. When you realize how huge the world is, and when you really want to see everything. Teenagers dream, invent, make plans, set goals and move forward, even when the future is shrouded in mystery. Children have nothing but a future. Their past is too small and insignificant. It has not yet managed to give them life lessons and valuable experience. They constantly think only about him, and they have something to think about: which university to go to, whether to move to another country, what profession to choose. There is still nothing behind. The whole life and the whole world are ahead. It is difficult to meet a teenager who has never thought about his life, because each of them wants a successful career, a good education and to have loyal, honest friends. Walking along his life path, a person gains experience and valuable knowledge. He grows up and becomes morally mature. He still has plans and goals, but he already has experience behind him that he will use in future situations. He may also be needed when making some important decisions that may affect his life. The elderly only have memories. Modern technologies and trends are moving so fast that people who have seen the transition from traditional things to more modern ones have no choice but to compare the real world with their memories. Many teenagers do not understand older people because of this. They believe that communicating with them is the most interesting activity on the planet. Isn't it fascinating to hear what it used to be like? Not to hear it in history lessons or look it up on the internet. Sometimes it is much more interesting to listen to everything from the first hand, to learn unique details and really interesting stories. Old age comes when a person ceases to hope for his future, because he has already lived his time and done everything he could. Now he can support his children and grandchildren, who often need advice or support. Of course, this is not a bad thing. Experience and wisdom are priceless gifts that come only with time. Unfortunately, older people have only memories and their own thoughts, which they constantly renew, as they often cannot understand the realities of the modern world. Older people like to remember what they wanted in childhood and compare it with what they got in the end. On the other hand, young people can only compare everything they have with their plans for the future and the goals they want to achieve. A person can only live for today, and then regret in old age what he could not do. Young people can't stand being lectured by adults and trying to keep them out of trouble. It seems to them that adults see only bad things, constantly grumble, are dissatisfied, so they do not listen to them. Children are easier to deal with their mistakes than those who try to protect them. A simple view of problems is typical for those who are not disappointed in life in old age. There are optimists who can avoid making a big deal out of a molehill and not exaggerate events. They may suffer and worry, but such events are an exception to the rule. Optimists try to come to terms with the life situation and achieve their successes. Therefore, they simply have nothing to regret in their old age. Everything is done on time. They don't wait for the time to come, although sometimes it's worth waiting, but just try to do everything on time. And those who hesitate and do not dare to do something begin to get disappointed and bite their elbows after others took advantage of his chances, or that he was left alone with his problems. So don't wait. It's better to do everything on time, and not to be disappointed in people. You just have to accept them as they are, to try to understand and reveal the essence of certain life phenomena and situations, to understand what is happening and what to do. This also applies to different areas of life. If a person does not learn to see his mistakes, then he will stumble, not draw conclusions, and by old age he will come to great disappointment in life. After all, what is a human error? This is nothing more than the difference between what is desired and what is real. Agree, in the real world, such a difference is absolutely natural. We have to make a huge number of big and small decisions in conditions of uncertainty. In the incompleteness of information, when there is a possibility of making a mistake, a person is required to have some, albeit small, but redundancy of self-confidence and the correctness of decisions made. Otherwise, the brain will not work as efficiently. Decisions will take a long time and change often. Therefore, all people have an instinctive aversion to admitting that they are wrong. This is a natural emotional reaction of the brain, and for a person to learn how to overcome it, to be able to work on mistakes, guided by reason, not emotions. A mistake is like a road sign. And what are road signs for? To change the behavior of drivers on the road. It's the same with mistakes. When you realize your mistake, you need to change your behavior. But there is a nuance here. Due to their upbringing, personal and characterological characteristics, many people feel the assessment of an event in their life as something more significant than any action aimed at correcting a mistake. For example, it could have been better. You need to try harder. I couldn't do it. I could not. I was unlucky. And other options on the same topic describe your acute assessment of yourself and your behavior. They are united by one fact. In all these cases, I means less than my expectations. That is, those who forget that I am more important than my expectations suffer from their mistakes. You quarreled with a loved one. You? Have you been fired from your job? You? Have you lost a large amount of money? You? Have you been betrayed? You? Whatever you want in this life, you always have the opportunity to get it, as long as you have it, as long as you are at home, as long as you keep yourself in mind, not your expectations, which may or may not come true. Just teach yourself to remember yourself. We are not talking about the notorious you need to love yourself. It's about what you need to remember about yourself. That is, to be attentive, to think about yourself. The real problems of realizing that I have me do not go away, but emotions decrease on the topic of why I was wrong. But back to the road signs. The emotional experience of the discrepancy between the real and the desired decreases when you correct your mistakes. That is, independently or through external assistance, you reduce the difference between the real and the desired. But these are just a few simple strategies. Was I wrong? Think about what skills you need right now. If you don't have them, think about how to get them. Think about what decisions you haven't made. Remember that any decision you make eases your inner torment. Think about what information you're missing, and look for her. Think about what resources you lacked. Find these resources, keep them occupied, create it, and correct your mistake. So, if you make a mistake, act, or you will definitely be trapped by your emotions. Who will make you a victim? Or they will force you to engage in self-flagellation, rot in the swamp of despondency, or spinning around from anxiety like a squirrel in a wheel. So you need to draw conclusions, look into the eyes of your fears, do what you like, but keep up with life and study different life phenomena. Then a person will be happy and will not be disappointed in old age, even if he does not achieve what he wants. Life is lost by those who have not prepared themselves for old age.